Have you ever noticed how you can be surrounded by people laughing, talking, sharing space, and still feel an overwhelming, echoing emptiness inside? What if the loneliness you feel is not a lack of people, but a lack of profound emotional intimacy? If you have ever felt invisible in a crowded room, emotionally exhausted by superficial interactions, or desperately waiting for someone to truly understand you, without you having to explain yourself, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. 1. The difference between company and connection. Here is a truth that is difficult to face. Gathering more people around you will never cure the ache of a lonely heart. We often confuse proximity with presence. When we feel that deep, quiet ache of isolation, our first instinct is to fill the void. We say yes to invitations we do not want. We scroll endlessly through digital worlds, seeking the illusion of community. We keep the television on just to hear a voice in the room. We fill our calendars and exhaust our energy, hoping that if the room is loud enough, we will not be able to hear our own inner silence. But the ache remains. You are not missing company. You are missing intimacy. You are missing the feeling of being deeply seen and understood. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to look closely at the true nature of our suffering. When we feel profound loneliness, we are often clinging to an external solution for an internal condition. We attach our sense of completeness to the presence and validation of others. But Buddhism reminds us that grasping at external things, even the comforting presence of people, inevitably leads to suffering, because everything outside of us is impermanent. True grounding cannot depend on who is sitting next to you. It must begin within. Imagine a ceramic cup with a tiny, unseen crack at its base. You can pour water into it all day. You can carry it to the most magnificent, rushing waterfall and hold it directly under the heavy stream. For a moment, the cup is full. It feels heavy, overflowing, and complete. But the moment you step away from the rushing water, the slow leak begins. Drop by drop, the water slips away. By nightfall, the cup is completely empty again. Company is the waterfall. A grounded relationship with yourself is repairing the crack. Think about your own life. How many times have you sat across from a friend, or even a partner, and realized they were hearing your words but completely missing your heart? How often do you exhaust yourself trying to fit into a space, hoping that if you are just pleasant enough, helpful enough, or present enough, the profound sense of isolation will finally fade? We tire ourselves out performing for connection rather than planting our feet firmly in our own truth. Ask yourself right now, are you seeking people to share your life with? Or are you using people to distract you from the quietness of your own mind? What are you afraid you will feel if all the voices suddenly stop? Pause, breathe, let that sink in. The next time you feel the urgent need to escape your own silence by reaching for a distraction or filling a room with noise, simply stop. Sit with the emptiness for just 1 minute. Observe the feeling of loneliness. Let it rise without judging it. Let it pass without running from it. You do not need more people to feel less alone. You need to stop abandoning the person who is always in the room with you. But recognizing why we constantly look outward is only the first step. Because beneath the noise of every crowded room is a hidden fear of what happens when everyone finally leaves. 2. Why the crowded room feels empty. What if the most profound loneliness does not come from being physically alone, but from being surrounded by people who only know a version of you that does not exist? Here is the truth few people want to face. We often build our own cages out of a desperate desire to belong. When we crave emotional intimacy but cannot find it, we settle for its cheap substitute, mere attention. We walk into a crowded room, a family gathering, or a bustling workplace, and we begin to perform. We smile when we are exhausted. We nod along to conversations that drain our spirit. We hide our sadness behind a mask of pleasantness, hoping that if we are easy to be around, someone will eventually see past the act and recognize the aching heart beneath. But the more you perform, the emptier the room feels, because they are not connecting with you, they are connecting with the mask. In Buddhist thought, much of our suffering arises from clinging to an illusion. We construct a false self, a polished image designed to win approval and avoid rejection. Buddhism reminds us that this attachment to an artificial identity is a heavy burden. When we operate from this false self, true intimacy becomes impossible. You cannot be truly seen if you are hiding. The ego builds a wall of pleasantries to protect you from being hurt. But that very wall is what traps you in your isolation. Connection requires vulnerability, and the mask is the enemy of vulnerability. Imagine a thick, heavy fog rolling over a busy harbor. There are dozens of boats moving through the water, their engines humming, their horns sounding through the air. You are on one of those boats. You can hear the noise of everyone else. You can sense their movement all around you. But because of the dense, gray fog, you cannot see a single face, and no one who can see yours. You are entirely surrounded, yet completely adrift in the mist. The crowded room is that harbor. The mask you wear is the fog. Think about your own life. Think about the moments you have sat in a room full of people you call friends, or stared at a screen full of smiling faces and felt a crushing wave of isolation wash over you. The exhaustion you feel after these interactions is not just physical fatigue. It is the spiritual drain of pretending. It is the heavy labor of maintaining a projection while your authentic self sits quietly in the dark, waiting to be invited out. Ask yourself, how much of your energy is spent trying to fit into spaces where you do not truly belong? What are you afraid would happen if you dropped the act and simply showed up as your tired, quiet, authentic self? Are you afraid that if they saw the real you, the room would empty completely? Stop. Breathe. Notice the tension you carry when you are trying to be accepted. The next time you are in a crowded space and feel that familiar emptiness creeping in, do not try to talk louder or smile wider. Withdraw your energy from the performance. Anchor yourself in your own breathing. Let the feeling of not fitting in rise and fall without trying to fix it. You do not need to entertain the room to justify your presence in it. But dropping the mask leaves us completely exposed. And this is where the next truth begins. Because beneath the exhaustion of pretending is a deep, quiet hunger that we are terrified to face. 3. The hunger for being truly seen. What if the deepest starvation you feel is not for love, but for comprehension? Here is a truth we rarely admit out loud. We do not just want company, we want a witness. We carry a heavy, silent hope that someone will look at us and simply understand, without us having to explain our exhaustion, our grief, or the quiet battles we fight every single day. We want someone to read between the lines of our silence. When we are hurting, we do not want to hand out a map to our pain. We just want someone to already know the way. But placing this expectation on others is a recipe for endless disappointment. We text a friend, hoping they hear the sadness in our words. We go quiet in the presence of a partner, waiting for them to notice the shift in our energy. And when they do not, when they are distracted or busy, or simply fail to notice, the ache of loneliness doubles. We feel ignored. We feel invisible. Buddhist wisdom teaches that expecting the external world to perfectly mirror our internal state is a root cause of suffering. The Buddha spoke of being a lamp unto yourself. When we hunger for others to deeply see us, we are often trying to outsource the heavy labor of self-acceptance. We mistakenly believe that our pain is only valid and our existence only real if someone else bears witness to it. But Buddhism reminds us that no one can walk your path for you and no one can fully inhabit your consciousness. Imagine a person standing inside a pitch-black room, terrified of the dark. They stand by the window, desperately waiting for a stranger walking by outside to shine a lantern through the glass. Sometimes, a beam of light sweeps across the room, offering a brief, warm second of comfort. But the person outside is walking their own path, carrying their own lantern, dealing with their own darkness, and they always move on. The room goes black again. You will spend your whole life standing at the window, shivering in the cold, unless you realize that there is a candle in your own pocket waiting to be lit. Think about your own life. How much of your emotional exhaustion comes from the silent demand that others should have noticed you were hurting? We resent people for failing to read minds they do not have access to. We feel abandoned when the world does not stop for our quiet grief. We let our self-worth rise and fall based on how much attention someone else is willing to spare. Ask yourself, are you waiting for someone to translate your heart because you are too afraid to listen to it yourself? What are you waiting for someone else to validate that you have not yet validated for yourself? Stop, breathe, acknowledge your own presence. The next time you feel that desperate hunger to be noticed, to be validated, or to be saved from your own silence, do not look toward the door. Look inward. Say to yourself, I see you. I know this is hard. Be the compassionate witness you have been waiting for. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. Because realizing that no one is coming to save you from your own mind is not a tragedy. It is the beginning of freedom. But turning inward requires a courage we often lack. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the real reason we constantly seek others is to avoid what is waiting for us in the quiet. 4. The fear of meeting yourself. What if the silence you are running from is the only place you can finally rest? Here is the truth few people want to face. We claim we want peace. We say we are exhausted by the noise, the endless demands, and the relentless pace of life. Yet, the moment the house is empty and the phone stops ringing, a quiet panic sets in. We immediately reach for a screen. We turn on the television just to have background noise. We text people we barely want to talk to, just to prove we exist to someone outside of ourselves. We are not afraid of being alone. We are terrified of who we are when we are alone. When the distractions fade and the room goes quiet, all the suppressed thoughts, the buried anxieties, and the unhealed grief bubble to the surface. Without the buffer of company, we are forced to sit alone with our own minds. And for many of us, that mind has become a harsh and critical place. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering multiplies when we try to outrun it. In Buddhist practice, mindfulness is not about escaping into a state of bliss. It is about sitting bravely with what is actually here. When we constantly flee from our own quiet thoughts, we treat our own presence as an enemy. We treat our internal world as a threat. Buddhism reminds us that the only way to dissolve this fear is through gentle observation. Peace is not found by turning away from your pain. It is found by turning toward it with compassion. Imagine a house you have lived in your whole life, but there is one room down the hall that you keep securely locked. You are terrified of what might be inside. So, you constantly throw parties in the living room. You invite guests to fill the hallways. You keep the music playing loudly so you never have to hear the quiet knocking coming from behind that door. But the longer you keep it locked, the more power that room holds over you. It dictates your every move. One day, you finally find the courage to turn the key. You open the door, only to find a small, frightened piece of yourself waiting patiently in the dark, just wanting to be acknowledged. Think about your own life. How many hours do you spend mindlessly scrolling, not because you are actually interested, but because you are actively avoiding the empty space? We work late, we overcommit our weekends, and we numb ourselves with noise because meeting our own raw emotions feels too dangerous. We seek out crowded rooms, not to connect with others, but to disconnect from ourselves. We use the chaos of the world as a shield against our own inner voice. Ask yourself right now, what thought, what fear, or what quiet grief are you trying to outrun by staying so busy? If all the screens went dark, all the music stopped, and the world went completely still, what is the first feeling that would rise in your chest? Is it sadness? Is it anger? Is it the feeling of not being enough? Pause, breathe. Notice the urgent desire to reach for a distraction. Stop fighting the quiet. Let the discomfort wash over you like a wave. It will not drown you. You can simply watch it rise and watch it fall, without having to fix it or flee from it. You are safe with yourself. But finding true peace in that silence requires us to stop looking for our salvation in the hands of others. And this is where the next truth begins. Because for too long, we have believed the dangerous illusion that someone else can make us whole. 5. The illusion of external wholeness. What if the missing piece you are endlessly searching for in others was never actually lost? Here is a truth we spend a lifetime avoiding. We walk through the world carrying a quiet, unshakable belief that we are somehow incomplete. We enter relationships, friendships, and even crowded rooms like beggars holding out an empty bowl, hoping someone else will pour enough love, attention, or validation into it to finally make us feel whole. We look for a partner to complete us. We look for a social circle to give us an identity. We stay in connections that drain our spirit, simply because the idea of being alone feels like an erasure of who we are. But this creates a dangerous, heavy dependency. We hand over the keys to our peace. If they leave, if they grow distant, or if they simply have a bad day and withdraw their affection, we completely collapse. We fall apart because we built the foundation of our self-worth on their temporary presence. Buddhist wisdom teaches that this feeling of incompleteness is a powerful illusion born of attachment. We suffer deeply because we believe wholeness is something we must acquire from the outside world. But one of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is that your true nature is already whole, already luminous, and completely intact. You are not a fragmented puzzle missing a vital piece. Suffering arises when we rely on impermanent things like the changing emotions and availability of other people to feel solid. When we attach our wholeness to external validation, our peace will always be fragile. Imagine a brilliant, full moon hanging quietly in the night sky. Down below, a vast lake reflects the moon's light. When the water is completely calm, the reflection is perfect, beautiful, and whole. But when a storm rolls in, the water becomes chaotic. The waves crash, and the reflection on the surface shatters into 1,000 broken pieces. If you believe you are the reflection in the water, you will panic every time the wind blows. You will exhaust yourself trying to calm the storm, trying to smooth out the water to fix the broken image. But you are not the reflection. You are the moon. You are untouched by the storm below. Think about your own life. Think about how easily your inner peace is shattered by a delayed text message, a cold look, or a friend who forgets to invite you. When our sense of self is tied to how others respond to us, we live at the mercy of their weather. We panic when someone pulls away, believing we are losing a part of ourselves. But you are not losing yourself. You are only losing a reflection. Ask yourself, who gave you the idea that you were not enough exactly as you are? Why do you hand the pen to other people and allow them to write the story of your worth? Is the thought that you are incomplete bringing you peace or feeding your fear? Pause, breathe. Feel your own presence in the room. You do not need to chase what is already yours. Let the feeling of inadequacy rise without believing the story it tells. Do your part, then release the outcome. Because peace is not found by collecting enough people to hold you together. It is found by realizing you were never actually falling apart, But knowing you are whole is only a concept until you put it into practice. And this is where the next truth begins. Because to truly realize your own strength, you must first stop fighting the empty space. 6. Making peace with the silence. What if the silence you have been fighting is actually the only place where your heart can heal? Here is a truth we instinctively resist. We treat silence like a punishment. We view it as an empty, lonely room that we are locked inside rather than a wide-open sky. When the day ends and the conversations fade, we feel a sudden, terrifying drop in energy. We mistake quietness for abandonment. We think that if no one is engaging with us, if no one is looking at us or speaking our name, we are somehow slipping out of existence. So, we scramble to fill the air. We force conversations that lack depth. We listen to voices not to learn, but to drown out the echo of our own thoughts. We feel an urgent, desperate need to fix the quiet, as if stillness is a problem to be solved. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that silence is not an absence of something, but a profound presence. In Buddhist thought, the natural state of the mind is spacious and clear, but our constant grasping for distraction stirs up endless turbulence. Buddhism reminds us that when we run from silence, we are running from the very condition that allows our deepest truths to surface. True emotional intimacy with oneself cannot grow in a mind that is continually bombarded by noise. You cannot hear the subtle guiding voice of your own heart if you are constantly shouting over it. Imagine a glass jar filled with water and handfuls of dark, heavy dirt. When you constantly shake the jar, the water remains muddy, chaotic, and completely opaque. You cannot see through it. This is what we do when we desperately fill our lives with forced company and digital noise. We keep shaking the jar to avoid looking at what is really inside. The only way the water becomes clear is if you stop shaking it. You must set the jar down in a quiet room and leave it completely alone. Slowly, patiently, the heavy dirt begins to sink to the bottom. The water clarifies. The quiet does not ruin the water. The quiet restores it. Think about your own life. When someone ignores your message, or a weekend stretches out with no plans, you immediately begin to shake the jar. You panic. You start planning, reaching out, and searching for any interaction, trying to agitate the stillness so you do not have to feel the heavy mud of your own anxiety. You equate the lack of external noise with a lack of love. But the constant stirring only makes your inner confusion worse. You exhaust yourself fighting a quiet that is actually trying to clarify your mind. You are afraid of the dirt settling because you are afraid to see what remains at the bottom of your own heart. Ask yourself, what are you afraid the silence will say to you? Are you avoiding the quiet because you think it means you are alone, or because you are afraid it will finally reveal how exhausted you truly are? Is this constant need for noise bringing you peace, or feeding your fear of being forgotten? Pause, breathe. Let the silence exist in the room without rushing to fill it. Let the dirt settle. Stop trying to force the door open. Let the stillness simply be what it is, because peace is not found by replacing the quiet with a better distraction. It is found by letting the quiet hold you until you realize you are safe. But surrendering to the stillness is only possible when you no longer feel like a stranger in your own body. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the ultimate goal is not just to survive the silence, but to become your own safe harbor within it. 7. Becoming your own safe harbor. What if you have spent your entire life looking for a home in the hearts of others, while leaving your own door permanently locked? Here is a truth that is difficult to face. When we feel overwhelmed, isolated, or unanchored, our deepest instinct is to run towards someone else. We look for a person to be our shelter. We want a partner to soothe our fears, a friend to absorb our sadness, or a crowd to shield us from our own heavy thoughts. We hand over the immense responsibility of our emotional safety to the people around us. We believe that if we can just find the right relationship, the right connection, or the right environment, the internal storm will finally stop. But relying on others to be your shelter creates a fragile existence. If they are busy, if they are hurting, or if they simply leave, you are suddenly left standing in the freezing rain with no protection. Buddhist wisdom teaches that true refuge cannot be found in anything that is subject to change. And people, by their very nature, are constantly changing. Their emotions shift, their paths diverge, and their capacities fluctuate. Buddhism reminds us that the ultimate sanctuary is not an external place or a specific person, but the island of the self. You must learn to take refuge in your own presence. When we anchor our peace to the unpredictable waves of human relationships, we will always feel unsteady. True grounding requires you to become your own sanctuary. Imagine a small boat caught in a fierce, rising storm. The sailor desperately scans the horizon, looking for a safe harbor to hide in. He panics because the shore is too far away. He feels entirely powerless against the crashing waves and the dark sky. But in his panic, he has forgotten that deep in the belly of the boat lies a massive, heavy iron anchor. He does not need to reach the harbor to survive the storm. He only needs to drop the anchor and let it bite into the solid ocean floor. The wind will still howl and the rain will still fall, but the boat will not be swept away. The people in your life are the distant shore. You are the anchor. Think about your own life. How many times have you frantically texted someone because you felt an uncomfortable emotion rising, hoping they would talk you down? We use other people as emotional life rafts. We lean so heavily on their presence that we forget how to stand on our own 2 feet. We measure our safety by their proximity, but no matter how deeply someone loves you, they cannot be your only source of grounding. They cannot be the only wall standing between you and the wind. Ask yourself, who have you burdened with the task of keeping you emotionally safe? What would happen if, the next time the storm rolls in, you did not immediately reach out to find a distraction or a rescuer? Are you afraid that if you had to comfort yourself, you would not know how? Pause, breathe. Place a hand over your own chest and feel the steady rhythm beneath it. You do not have to chase a harbor that is miles away. Stay with yourself. Let the storm pass without becoming the storm. Become the gentle, unwavering presence you so desperately seek from others. Because the moment you become your own safe harbor, you no longer need to beg for a place to rest on someone else's shore. But building this profound self-reliance requires us to surrender a lifelong fantasy, and this is where the next truth begins. Because before we can truly stand on our own, we must finally let go of the imagined rescue. 8. Letting go of the imagined rescue. What if the person you are waiting for to save you is only a ghost created by your own exhaustion? Here is a truth that requires profound courage to accept. We secretly carry a deeply romanticized fantasy of rescue. Deep down, when the isolation becomes unbearable, we imagine a scenario where someone finally arrives to make it all right. We dream of a partner who instantly understands our unhealed wounds. We wait for an apology from someone who ignored us. We hope that one day, a person will walk into our lives, see how heavy our burden is, and simply lift it from our shoulders without us having to ask. We live our lives in the quiet waiting room of someone else's arrival. But waiting for someone else to heal your loneliness ensures that your loneliness will last forever. Buddhist wisdom teaches that much of our suffering comes from living in the future, clinging to an outcome that does not exist. This concept of the perfect rescuer is a heavy illusion. It is an attachment to a fantasy that keeps us trapped in a state of perpetual lack. Buddhism reminds us that when we wait for external salvation, we abandon the present moment. We abandon ourselves. The universe does not send saviors to do the inner work that belongs exclusively to us. As the teachings say, no one can purify another. Imagine a person sitting in a cold, dim room. They have been there for years. Every day they stare at a heavy wooden door, waiting for someone to finally walk down the hallway, apologize for leaving them there, and hand them a shining key. They spend all their emotional energy preparing for this imagined rescue. They weep, they hope, and they wait. But the tragedy is not that the rescuer never comes. The tragedy is that the door was never locked. The hinges were simply stiff. If they had stopped waiting for someone else to turn the handle, they could have pushed it open themselves and walked out into the warm, bright sunlight. Think about your own life. How much of your current suffering is just you staring at an unlocked door? We exhaust ourselves holding on to the fantasy that the person who misunderstood us must be the one to validate us. We wait for a perfect emotional connection to finally feel alive. We pause our own growth because we believe we need someone else's presence to make us whole. We wait for the crowd to finally see us, not realizing we have had the power to leave the room all along. Ask yourself, who are you still waiting for? What imagined rescue is keeping you paralyzed in your own quiet pain? Are you afraid that if you stop waiting for them to save you, you will have to face the silence alone? Pause, breathe. Notice how tight your grip is on this waiting. You do not have to wait anymore. Release the heavy expectation that someone is coming to fix it. Stop waiting for a key you do not need. Let the grief of the unfulfilled fantasy rise, acknowledge it, and let it pass. Because letting go of the rescue fantasy is not a defeat. It is a profound awakening. But walking out of that room requires us to step into the vast, open space of our own lives. And this is where the final truth begins. Because when the noise fades, the performance stops, and the waiting ends, you finally discover what was there all along. 9. The quiet strength of a grounded heart. What if the peace you have been desperately searching for, in the eyes of others, has been waiting inside your own silence all along? We began this journey by looking at a familiar, painful contradiction, the overwhelming emptiness of standing in a crowded room. We explored the exhaustion of performing, the heavy mask we wear just to belong, and the quiet desperation of waiting for someone to look past our defenses and finally see our authentic selves. For so long, you believed that the cure for this deep, echoing loneliness was simply finding the right company. You believed that if you could just attain true emotional intimacy with another human being, the internal ache would finally disappear. But we have learned that external cures can never heal internal fractures. Buddhist wisdom brings us back to a profound and simple truth. You cannot find your center by clinging to the edges of someone else's life. The suffering you have carried is not because you are unlovable, and it is not because you are destined to be alone. The suffering comes from the attachment. It comes from the belief that you are broken and need someone else to make you whole. When we let go of this illusion, when we release the desperate grip on how we think our lives, our relationships, and our quiet moments should look, we finally make space for genuine peace. Letting go does not mean you stop loving people. Non-attachment does not mean you become cold, distant, or isolated. It simply means you stop demanding that the world hold you together. It means you stop treating your own solitude as a punishment. You are no longer the desperate sailor scanning the horizon for a safe harbor. You are the anchor resting firmly on the ocean floor. You are no longer the scattered reflection on the stormy water. You are the radiant moon, untouched by the chaos below. You have finally stopped shaking the jar. The dirt has settled, the water is clear. Think about the immense freedom in this realization. You no longer have to exhaust yourself trying to fit into spaces where you do not belong. You do not have to twist your words or hide your sadness just to keep someone else comfortable. You have built a quiet self-respect that does not require an audience. You no longer have to wait. by the window for someone to carry a lantern into your darkness. You have found the candle in your own pocket. The most profound intimacy you will ever experience is the moment you stop abandoning yourself. It is the moment you can sit in a completely quiet room with no distractions and no incoming messages and feel entirely safe in your own presence. When you cultivate a grounded heart, you can still enjoy the warmth of a crowded room, but you no longer need the crowd to prove that you exist. You can welcome love, but you no longer collapse when it changes shape. You have learned to trust your own stillness. You are grounded. You are present. You are completely whole. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.